Okay, so to start out our unit on shading, we're going to be making two different scales. You're going to start by drawing a long rectangle that is 7 inches long and an inch tall. Then you're going to draw another one. Again, it is 7 inches long and an inch tall. So you're going to make two of these rectangles. On the first one, you're going to make a mark with your pencil at every inch so that you're dividing it at every inch. And then after I make those marks with my pencil, I'm going to use those marks to then draw lines using my ruler to separate it like this. So this first one at the top is going to be what we call a value scale. So in art, when we say value, that's another way of saying like the lightness or darkness of something. So a value scale is a scale of all of the different values or shades from white to black. So this very last one at the very end is going to represent black. So we're going to be using our pencil to get it as dark as we possibly can. So I'm putting as much pressure with my pencil as I possibly can so I can get the darkest value that I possibly can. And the first square is going to be white, but in the second square we're trying to make the lightest shade of gray that we can possibly make. Notice how I'm holding my pencil differently? I'm holding it that way so that I'm barely applying any pressure to the paper. So you're just barely dragging the pencil across the paper. So that second one was my lightest gray. So the third one, it's still going to be really light gray. I'm barely putting any pressure on it at all, but I do want it to be a little bit darker because this is a scale that is going to be gradually getting darker from white to black, but still really light. Now as I move on to the next one, I'm going to make it still a little bit darker. So since this square is in the middle of my value scale, what I'm trying to do is I want it to be sort of look like a halfway point between white and black. Now I'm going back to this third square because I'm realizing that there's a bit too much of a jump between the second and the third squares as far as how dark they are, and I don't want at any point my value scale to look like there's a big jump between the two. So this next one I'm going just a little bit darker. And the next one, this is the one that's next to black, so it's not going to be completely black, it's not going to be as dark as we can possibly make it, but it is going to be a pretty dark gray, so I am applying quite a bit of pressure here. So now I'm going to go back and sort of adjust things because again, I don't want any point on the scale to look like it doesn't fit, like I don't want it to all of a sudden get way darker on a single step of the scale. So I'm just going to go and adjust them a bit. Alright, so this second one is called a gradient scale. So this is different because a gradient is a smooth, blended transition from light to dark. So whereas the value scale was separated, where each value, each shade of gray was separated by a line, in the gradient scale there are no lines, there are no separations. Everything should look like it blends into the next part. So I'm going to start at the darkest end where again I'm trying to get black, so I'm going as dark with my pencil as I can. And then as I move across the scale, as I go down the scale, I'm gradually putting less and less pressure with my pencil because I'm trying to get it to be a gradual transition from dark to light. So unlike the value scale, the gradient scale should not have any obvious separations. Everything should blend together. But I am looking at my value scale for reference because I don't want too much of my gradient scale to be left white, or I don't want too much of my gradient scale to end up being black. I want it to sort of mirror the value scale, but again, everything should blend smoothly together. So there are no lines or separations. Then I'm going to go just make a few adjustments so that everything looks smooth and blended together. And that's it.